Hello everybody. So part two of basic watercolours is I always get my students to make a colour wheel. Now you can buy these ready-made colour wheels. This is a rather good one. It's the watercolour wheel, but it shows you what happens when you mix these colours up with black and white and what tertiary and secondary colours are, and it has this on the back as well. So this is quite a good one, but it doesn't tell you which colours to use, so we're going to go and explore that. There's something else useful called a Quiller colour wheel, which some chap in America, I assume called Quiller, has invented, so he will tell you which colours, where colours appear on the colour wheel. But useful device, but we're going to make our own. Now I've got a rather fancy colour wheel here. What I've done is actually used a CD to start with as my template, and you just divide it up into a clock face because you want 12 pieces of pie, and I've gone a little fancier than your average, so I've got an inner ring here and an inner ring here where I'm going to use the opposites just to show you how they pop, and this one will be when we use the opposite colours to make a neutral colour. So when you use the opposite colours on the colour wheel, it makes a neutral colour. The other thing that's very useful to know is just if you make a colour wheel, then it will almost become instinctive to know which colour is opposite, and that's very useful for making things pop in your paintings, and also when you're trying to dampen down colour. If a colour is too vivid, if you drop in one of the opposite colours, it will actually reduce its zinginess. I've got a couple of things here. This is a very good book if you like history and painting. This is The Story of Colour, travels through a paint box, and it just goes through the history of colour and how difficult it was to invent them. Absolute fascinating book. I highly recommend it. So that's Victoria Finlay Colour, Travels Through a Paint Box it's called. Anyway, very good book. I highly recommend it. So I might burble on about colour again from that. I think I mentioned it when I was doing Through the Paint Box. So I've drawn this, and it's very useful actually to number these, just so you don't get lost. I have frequently got lost while making a colour wheel and you don't put the colours in the right place. And so what I'm going to do first, what I've done first is actually mix up. These are my primary and secondary colours, pretty much from this paint box. This is the little Van Gogh set, so that's absolutely fine. And then I will mix I've mixed up the secondaries as well, and they're here waiting to be used. So when you're painting, it's always useful to have the good puddle of colour to work with. So make yourself up a lot of wash so you understand, so you don't have to mix up more while your paint's drying. So just mix up a lot of wash of the colours you're going to use. That's one recommendation of watercolours. Now I'll just find my brush. I'm going to use the biggest brush I can bear to use, which is a size 12 sea whites, I think. Lovely stable, and it has a good point, so hopefully I can be reasonably neat in this. I highly recommend doing this just for noodling around in watercolour purposes. It's just fun to do because the colours are so vibrant and so lovely, and also it gives you practice, and it has a certain mindfulness to it as well, so I do recommend that, just to enjoy yourself really. So what I'm going to do, and I'll try and paint quickly, is I'm going to paint this colour wheel, and I'm using, see, I can just pick it up with my brush, some Elysian Crimson. But first thing I want to show you is how to paint a sort of smooth wash in watercolour. So the best thing to do is go around the outside, and then more or less keep your brush on the paper, bring the pigment backwards and forwards, and then pretty much leave it alone. I'll just use a bit of kitchen towel just to get that little blob off. There we go. So I'm just taking a bit of colour off as well. So I'm going to start with my Elysian Crimson. I'm not using cadmium red because cadmium red is this very bright red, that red, and that doesn't mix very well. So what I like to do is use Elysian Crimson. And if you look at your printer, what you will have there is magenta, which is even more zingy than this, and magenta, cyan and yellow you get in your printer, and black, and they can make up all colours known to man apparently, but pigments and paints are a little bit different, so it's good to know which works best. So I'm going to take that colour and put it over here, so that's going to be opposite this green. So the red is primary and the green is secondary. So obviously with primary colours you can't make them from anything. So you have to have those primary colours. As I told my son as he threw my yellow into the river, I said, I can never make yellow! Anyway, not that I'm bitter. So I'm just doing that. So I'm just going to go through the colour wheel and just pick up these colours. So I'm rinsing my brush, I'm drying my brush a bit, make sure it's rinse. Dry my brush, and then I'm going to pick up the primary blue. And handily enough, I have labelled these, otherwise it's so easy to get lost in the colour wheel. So primary blues between 4 and 5 o'clock. And I'm just going in there with my French ultramarine, going around the edge of your shape, and then dragging that pigment backwards and forwards. And don't worry about little blobs and things generally, because the water will sort that out. And then I want to go over here, and I'm going to paint that there. Woo! So I'm starting out with the primaries, and that, if you notice, is opposite orange. That's one of my favourite colour combinations. When you combine opposites, you get this absolute pop, and blue and orange really go for it. And again, I should have started with the yellow. But luckily I've still got some clean water here, because yellow is very prone to be mucky. So here's my yellow. This is just this bog standard yellow. Yellow, at least I know where it is. Yellow. And because I got this nice big brush, you notice I don't have to go back and pick up more paint. So we're back in there. And then, so the yellow wants to go here to purple. So there we go. And as I go on, I will be mixing the opposites. But let's just start with the orange. So I've got orange here, which is just a combination of red and yellow, really. So I've got a nice orange colour there. And you see, because it's a nice big brush, it's going on very quickly, so I'm just going to follow that through and just go down here. Let's tidy that up a little bit. And then I'm going to go for my green. So this is, I think, bright green or emerald green they call it. I've put all the colours round here. I don't know if you want to take note, but this will be bright or emerald green that you often get in a paint box. You can see it's very zingy. Very zingy. I'll just go around there, pick that up, and over here, put it in there. And then purple, my favourite. So purple is a combination of French ultramarine and Elysian crimson. So hopefully this is a decent purple. And there we go, decent purple. So I can just pick up these colours really quickly and go in like that. So now what I'm going to do, so those are your primary and secondary ones. I'm going to start mixing them together so you can see how they neutralise. The theory is behind why they're neutralising is that they're all three primary colours knocking around in that pigment. Ooh, I haven't done the opposite purple. Oh, let me do the opposite purple. And that's what makes sludge. But they all have different ways of being sludgy. But we'll see how this goes. You see, this is a smaller brush, so I'm having to go back and pick up more pigment. So the large brush always works better. So I'm going to start with the purple and the yellow. Just pick up. Ooh, I should have done it the other way around. Pick up the yellow first. If I pick up the yellow first, it won't be mucky. So there we go. You can see it's neutralising on the palette. So you get this kind of warm sludge. So warm sludge, where do I want my warm sludge? So probably here. So there's my warm sludge. And also here. There we go. I'm being a bit slapdash here because I don't want you hanging around forever. So there's a sludgy one. I'm just going to clean that out. So then I'm going to pick up red and green. So I've got red. I've got green, and that is the classic thing I think we're all taught in primary school, that makes brown. So here we are, this is a slightly different variation on sludge. And here we go here. think next door's having a disco. But never mind. They have small children, so they have to keep them entertained. And then I'm just going to clean that out. Some kitchen towels, so now it's blue and orange turn. So there's me blue, and this will be my orange. And again, another delightful pile of sludge. So blue and orange are here. And that's got quite a nice grey colour. Actually, usually ends up being sludgy. I must have more blue in there. But you can see the variations you can get by mixing opposite colours. There we go. And then I'm going to use my secondary colours, and this is where it's quite useful to label them. So here I've got just bog standard cadmium red from this, and this is kind of a yellowy red, as it were. I'm going to go back to my big brush because it's easier. Oh, apart from the fact I didn't clean it, but never mind. So there we are. There's my cadmium red. And down here is this will be cadmium red. Yes. There we go, cadmium red. So even though this seems like a really simple exercise, it can be quite complicated if you can't remember where you are. I'm just going to actually lift off some of this pigment, and it might turn a bit more cadmium red. And then I'm going to go to the deep orangey yellow. So this is this deep yellow here, pretty much, with a little bit of orange in it. That's too much. Maybe I need some more yellow. So this is a nice variation on orangey reddy yellow. This is more like cadmium hue deep or cadmium deep, because they can go over to the oranges. And then the nice one here is sap green. You often have that in your paint box. It's a very, very useful colour. This is this colour, in fact. I must put some yellow in there. So you're getting, this is sap green and a bit of yellow. Oops, my yellow's still wet, but never mind. Let's crack on. And this is the sap green, so that's a nice yellowy green, especially when the yellow wanders into it. So, and that goes over here. Did I do my cadmium red? I haven't done, what have I haven't done? I haven't done my yellowy thing. So that goes there. So let's do my yellowy one. So this goes here. And you can start to see how these colours pop against each other. You can see colour theory working in all sorts of different spheres, particularly fabric design. You will see they will have different colour waves of the different designs, and it gets people reacting because there is this whole thing from Theosophy, which was completely bonkers. Madame Blavatsky, or whatever her name was, they wrote reams and reams and reams about colour theory and also auras. And it's about the emotional reaction you have to colour. And there's also a physiological reaction, which they haven't quite figured out yet. So I will just go in. So this is my mauve, which is a mixture of these two colours. So that's kind of a, I would call it mauve. There we go. Oops. Never mind. There we go. And then this goes over here. In there. So that's got, both those colours have got a little bit of, I don't know what they got in them. So this is the nice green against that. Does that work? I don't know. And over here I've got violet, which again is a mixture of the blue and the purple. This is my violet, which has got a little bit feeble. Maybe I can mix it a little bit more up. There we go. There we go. So this is a purple with more ultramarine in it. I should have dried my brush. So yes, if you want to control water, always have a kitchen towel handy, and then you can dry your brush when you need to. That's a little bit on the pale side, but I might let it go. Let's get a bit of French ultramarine in there. And a little bit of the crimson. That's alright. There we go. So you can see I can put on more wash when necessary. And then that has to go over here. No, I forgot to do. No, I didn't forget to do my purple. And then this is one of my favourite colours. Is actually Viridian, which is it's called Viridian because it's made out of verdigris, which is the when the copper oxidizes. You can see that's a lovely zingy, almost turquoise, bluey green. I suppose turquoise is bluey green. So that goes over here, and then I'll just start making up the neutrals. And you can see how this is just gorgeous to do, because you're just dealing with these just lovely bright colours. So I'm going to start, so cadmium red and Viridian. So cadmium red and Viridian. Ooh, that's gone very peculiar. Cadmium red and Viridian. So I'm just going, where's that? Cadmium red and Viridian. Here we are. That's got a bit too much green in it. So let's add a bit more red. So I'm mucking up my colours here, but never mind. And each colour is basically a chemical bound in whatever it is. Watercolour is bound in gum arabic, acrylic is bound in PVA, and oil is bound in oil. You can use olive oil, in fact. And if you go to Cornelius Sun in London, you can actually still buy the pigments. Well, you can buy them from Lawrence's, actually, now I think about it, and make your own. And you can just choose what kind of paint you're going to make. I think Colin Ruffle makes his own acrylics, and I know Annalise Clark makes her own oil paints. I feel life's too short. So this is the yellowy orange and the mauve. Oh no, it's green, isn't it? Oops. See, I got confused. So I'm just going to clean that off. And so I've got my mauve. What's left of it? Let's have a bit more mauve. And a little bit of that. Call that mauve. And the sap green, which I still have. So I'm just going to pick that up. I can grab the sap green. Ooh, getting some very nice combinations there. Seeing a lot of fabrics designed like that, actually. So those two colours, I think, go together quite well in fabric. So some more sludge and more sludge. And you can see how the inner ring is just popping against the outer ring. And then the last one is my violet, which is French ultramarine, and a little bit of the alizarin crimson. So there's, no, that needs more blue, more blue, more blue. There we are, more blue. We'll call that violet. Yeah, call that violet. And that's against the this colour. So I can put that in there. And again, we're getting this nice warm sludge. That's got a bit more blue in it. So by adjusting, you can see you can get variations. So very good for doing shadows. The Impressionists and old Georges Seurat also explore colour theory to death, that you can get colours react to the colours around them. And I can't remember if it's in, oh, it is in one of Victoria Finlay's book about how the colour wheel was invented, which was the head of tapestries for the French royal families suddenly realised these colours do not look right. Why don't they look right? They look right here when they're isolated, but they don't look right together. And he found that you do get this extra popping when you put them next to the opposite colour. So that's the colour wheel. I just want to show you one thing, which is this. I don't know if you can see it all. Let's move that out of the way. Which is actually almost showing you how colour theory works. So here we have purple and yellow, and you can see the zing in that, and how much colour you have around it depends on the zing. But these colours, these are all opposite colours. So here I've actually used magenta and cyan, which are the primary colours from your printer, and you can see that how much that pops and that pops. So by actually understanding colour theory, you can really make the colours in your paintings pop. And if you paint in an Impressionist style, if you look at Monet and Seurat, obviously, that what they do, they put the opposite colours together and they pop on the canvas rather than mixing the colour as a sort of straight colour. And then we got down here the greens and the reds, so I used the cadmium red here, but this is more or less like the optician's test they do on you, aren't they? So that's the colour wheel. And And next I'm going to do is I'm going to paint a rainbow. Although it's probably past the rainbow time, but it's always useful to know. So I will just stop the camera and then I will do that in a sec.